Welcome to Hannity, and tonight we are coming to you from McAllen, Texas. Now, the immigration crisis in this country is literally at a tipping point, and that's exactly why we have now traveled to one of the hot spots on the southern border to see firsthand just how badly things are unraveling. Now, earlier today, Texas Governor Rick Perry gave me an exclusive tour of the border from the air and the water. But before we took off, I joined the governor for a private briefing from the Texas Department of Public Safety. Here's an exclusive look.
Welcome to the front line of the unsecured border, because you're about to go on the river, you're about to go on the air, and you're going to pinch yourself a couple of times to come back to the fact that you're in America, because a lot of stuff you're going to be seeing that you're dealing with almost looks like you're sometimes dealing with Middle Eastern, conflicts. 98% of our undocumented aliens that are apprehended along the Texas border occurs here in the Rio Grande Valley. 84% of other than Mexicans that are apprehended in Texas occurs here in the Rio Grande Valley area. Last year, 2013, we reached a historic peak of special interest aliens, which are other than Mexican aliens that have links and ties, or that country has links and ties to terrorist organizations.
This is why the conversations that we're picking up with ISIS and there's a great concern now from our special operators that this new entity of the Islamic State is of great concern in using the border to penetrate in here with ill intent.
Criminal aliens have been responsible for about 642,000 criminal offenses.
Governor, I've been down to the border 8 times now. 8 times, and I'm learning things here today that I never knew of, and I like to consider myself pretty informed on this issue. 642,000 crimes in 7 years have an orchestra that we have brave men and women that are literally using military tactics to fight what they consider to be cartels. That is a huge story.
I trust the people, the professionals that work on this border every day. They put their lives on the line, and they've given good intel, they've given good information back to the administration, and all too often it has landed on deaf ears, or there is a level of ineptitude that is of great concern to me. I don't know which one it is, but the fact is, the president coming to the border, when the president of the United States shows up somewhere, everyone pays attention.
Fully pulpit.
And that's my point to him yesterday, is that this isn't about politics. It's about showing the American people that you care, that you understand, and that you have an interest in solving the solution, or solving the problem.
That's one of the city dumps.
Where they're burning right there?
Yeah, it's a city dump. And
is that Mexico or is that the U.S.?
that's Mexico right there.
Got it. Okay.
We are right on the border. One of the things we asked for some years ago, Sean, was for the United States Navy to send some of their vessels that they have on the Gulf Coast into the Rio Grande, because it's a navigable stream for the greater part of it, particularly through this 300-mile southern sector. If you've got a load of drugs over there on 83, then you'll turn and drive just as fast and as hard as you can and literally drive the vehicle into the Rio Grande. The driver will get out and swim across, and at that particular point in time, he's safe. Now, they probably lost their load of dope, but that's a tactic that we've seen. I don't know if it's used as much now as it did a couple of years ago. There's some logic to the strategic fencing works in these metropolitan areas and in these very high trafficked areas. We know where they are. You build the fencing, and that makes sense. The simplistic thought of, well, let's just build a fence from Brownsville to El Paso and that will take care of it, is bad use of money, and it's also not that effective. Is it a better use of our time to have drones flying up and down that very, very desolate part of West Texas out there,
and have enough agents to respond immediately?
And you can have the aviation assets to drop a SWAT team in very quickly. Now, that's the way you need to deal with it, in my opinion. We just need the federal government's participation in this. Here's strategic fencing right here. Okay, see the fencing right there? that's where it starts. Right here, you can see the open area where you can an opening in it. But that's all. This is strategic fencing. This makes sense. A wall from Brownsville to El Paso doesn't make sense. Border Patrol drags that road, and then they can see if anybody has walked across it.
Yep.
And there's a big concrete barrier. There is a fence, and then there's that road.
Where are we headed here?
This is Enzo Duas Dam area where you're going to get your boat tour.
We're fixing to transport over to the boats. These boats are really a highly technical piece of fighting equipment. They got four dual 60s on each corner. They're Kevlar plated. They've got 300 horse, and they can run in 12 inches of water.
They've made a difference on the river.
Yeah, they made a real difference.
They've made a difference.
There are people that think we don't have National Guard down here. We've got a substantial National Guard presence that I've directed down here back over the course of the years. But in addition to them, that 1,000 number National Guard that we keep asking for is what's so important. When you add that 1,000 National Guard troops, the visual of that is what's so powerful.
It's a deterrent.
And that is what gets sent to Central America very quickly, is that, you know what, this border is not porous anymore. We can't just come across anymore. And it allows the Border Patrol to get back to doing what the Border Patrol does and does best, which is interdict all these criminal activities. That's the goal here, is to impress upon the President, impress upon the administration, impress upon Washington that if you want to secure the border of this country, you can. That's the first step in dealing with the humanitarian crisis, because if you don't staunch the flow, then it's just only going to get worse. So boots on the ground, drones in the air, strategic fencing that you saw out of the helicopter, those three things will secure this border.
All right, so first of all, these boats fly. What do you got?
We got triple 300 barrels.
Triple 300.
Yeah, you got 900 horseback. That jack plate will come up. It'll operate into 12 inches of water, and that's why this becomes a very, very usable type of a vessel. And so almost anywhere in the Rio Grande now, we can operate. We realized that we weren't going to get the support from the federal government, so we had to do something. You know, we made requests with the Navy before to come in, and you know, this is an international border. Why shouldn't the Navy be in here?
Sure.
With a show of force?
What's amazing is these guys were pointing out to me different areas where literally you see a path, and there are different paths where obviously corridors that are well known and
these are corridors that have been used for years and years.
Yeah.
I mean, this problem is not new from the standpoint of people penetrating illegally across the country, or across from Mexico into our country. What's new is this mass of young people that are used as a feint, as a distraction for our Border Patrol, instead of doing what they're supposed to be doing, which is interdicting drugs, stopping illegal activities, pushing back on the drug cartels.
Look at this boat behind me. It's well armed.
Yeah.
It is, and I was asking some of the guys if they've had to fire or have been fired upon. Some boats have been fired upon.
I suggest to you probably all of them have been. You need to have this type of deterrent, because the last thing you want to be is outgunned by the drug cartels, and we were historically.